The 20-sided core made him feel physically sick. Once he had sneaked into a temple of the dark arts and he carried his prize back to the Farfarer. Now, he had to make his next move. There was a key Imperial outpost on the Nexus. If this really was some sort of super weapon, he could use it to wreak havoc on the enemy. And if it wasn't, well, better to know that before the final battle. But maybe he should show it to some scientists first. There was an observatory on the Nexus. Maybe he should go there before he fired it. Well... Why had the parts of the Sky Ripper only surfaced now, thousands of years after the Transcendent Emperor had dismantled it? The mad Emperor Isengrim had performed terrible, bloodthirsty rituals to invoke the lost gods. Was that why these ancient artifacts were rising out of the ground? How perfect, then, that the Sky Ripper would reappear to be his destruction. And, hopefully this time, just his destruction. Oh, they really ought to put a railing on this thing, he thought. Once you try it, you're hooked. Is a very cool sword, thought Renara. No, seriously. He couldn't feel his paw anymore. Time to make a new sword. a lot of shiny, smooth, curved with leather, buckles, and kind of smelled... A legendary weapon was exactly what the rebellion needed. They were outnumbered. The once kind emperor had become a tyrant. But his ravens stayed loyal, for he fed them his victims, and the other animals were too frightened to rebel. Renato shuddered at what the Emperor was trying to do. To bring back the lost gods, the Black Harvest, the Black Sun? No. He would stop that toad, no matter what the risk. Building these platforms was so expensive, they'd run out of budget for guardrails. Well, they really needed to redecorate anyway. Renato was thrilled. The scientists seemed to think he'd put the Sky Ripper together right. But one toad was worried.
Yeah, the Sky Ripper could tear a hole in existence itself. There are invisible strings that tie the universe together. If the Sky Ripper cut one, the hole would widen and widen until our whole existence fell into it.
Another toad sighed. Irving still believes in string theory.
At least go see Calaveras.
Yeah, said the worried toad.
He knows more than anyone else has forgotten about the Transcendent Emperor.
If anyone could tell him how to use this weapon safely, it would be Calaveras. It was he who had told Renato how to find it in the first place, but up on using it as a weapon. Maybe he had the generals there what he could do with a weapon that he dared not use. There had to be a safe way to use it. The truth was, if it wasn't safe, then it was dangerous. They couldn't use it. He'd found the Skyripper for nothing. He should have rescued his friend Lupino. Oh, he should have confronted Zenobia. He had nothing but his sword. But maybe the Council would have an idea? He had all the ingredients for a pretty nifty sword. The ruins. Why were so many ravens scouring the ruins? Had someone betrayed the secret base? Hey, a workbench. He could try out his new blade. Practically sure he'd find something useful in one of these things. Renato thought about how he could have used the Skyripper to assault the Imperial outpost on the Nexus. He shuddered. That could have gone very wrong. The mysterious sword from the East made you so fast you could catch a fly with your chopsticks. If that's what you really wanted. The ravens. Nobody said they were original. Fishy. A raven cawed, "There he is!" And they ran away, cawing. They knew he had the core, didn't they? And they were afraid of it. Little did they know, he couldn't use it. Wait, if they didn't know he couldn't use it... Yes! A sword can be powerful without ever being drawn from its scabbard. Hey, Why don't you guys fight in groups? Oh, I know. Because there's no I in team. Long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good. If only he had some way to break the ice. Or convince it he was a friend. Thought, Renato? Slippy's hit, he thought. What's there? Renato barely made it to the hideout when he was shoved into a meeting room. He laid out his plan. They were shocked. Bluffed the Emperor with an unusable weapon.
Yeah, it's brilliant, laughed Renato. He keeps sending ravens, none of them come back. How does he know it's my sword?
I suppose there's no harm if it fails. Take the Sky Ripper into a firing position,
Croaked the speaker.
I shall attempt to hail him by far, Speaker.
It was a huge bluff. Renato had no cards to play.
Just a weapon that could maybe destroy everything he hated and everything he loved. Could he be sure it wouldn't work? No, of course not. Of course the Emperor couldn't be sure it wouldn't work, and he must believe in ancient weapons if he hoped to bring back the lost gods, right? What terms could he offer Isengrim III? Now, he would have to step down, obviously. And accept the rebellion? Was that asking too much? Maybe Renato would ask him to make Zenobia Empress. Yeah, his daughter, after all. She would never sacrifice innocent kittens and puppies to bring back the lost gods. No. Renato had to seem confident. Overconfident, even. Like he was sure he could blow up the Emperor's ship to hell. I mean, who believes a cautious bluff? There was a pleasant breeze coming through that door. Had it been closed before? This stone was incredibly valuable. Renato could sense it. Also, it still had its price tag. Oh, it was strange. Fighting to place a weapon he could not use. But he could end the war tonight with just a threat. So much more humane than destroying a ship or an entire fleet. And then he would destroy the Sky Ripper in case some other adventurer was tempted. You never knew about some of these other foxes. Soon, it would all be over. Beat Renato at hot potato. It was a bit windy up here. He set up the Sky Ripper and let it warm up. Zenobia came out, flanked by a whole platoon of ravens. I know you, Reynardo. You won't actually use that, she said. I know what the scientist told you, that it would totally blow up your fleet. You're reckless, Reynardo. Bold. Dashing. Brave. Devil-may-care. Wild. Impulsive. Hasty. Rash. Sometimes even a little harebrained, a bit feckless even. You just don't think things through. Oh, get to the point, woman! But you're not crazy. How do you know I didn't go crazy? Demanded Reynardo, doing his very best to look crazy. Well, go ahead then. Press the trigger. Oh, damn her. She'd seen through him again. She never fell for his bluffs. This was the moment to do something brilliant. To come up with exactly the right thing to say, to make a heroic move. That's what heroes do. Oh, but he couldn't think of anything that wasn't obviously stupid. He was too shocked to move. Her ravens came and seized the Sky Ripper. He stared as they pushed it over the side into the abyss. Hey! Oh, I fought really hard to get that. It should never have come back. And he had to admit she was right. She had always been right. It was one of the frustrating things about her. Years later, as he rotted to his death in an Imperial prison cell, Reynardo was still trying to come up with something clever and heroic that he could have done in that last moment. But he never could. And just like that, he was alive again, and back on the Farfarer, still fleeing burning Ubar. The book was still open before him. So, the book was a portal. It took you to the future, when your destinies would branch. He had failed and died 3 times, and he hadn't learned anything new this time. He'd done the same thing twice, yet expected a different outcome. But he was starting to feel like he was getting the hang of this. There was a way through to victory. He could feel it. He just had to keep running the path of destinies. With that, the book fluttered back to the beginning, and he fell into it. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Reynardo knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong, but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Emperor had brought the Sky Ripper pieces up out of ancient burial by his obscene rituals. Could this be where the Iblis stone was hidden? Someone better get it before he does, thought Reynardo. On the other hand, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Lapino was no game changer, but could Reynardo really leave an old friend to the Ravens? Lapino had apparently managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen a winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait, where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the Ravens? did you do if one of these platforms stalled?
People were frightened these days. Just 2 weeks past, Reynardo had sneaked through an empty town and listened to the ravens caw about the Emperor's new taste in ritual sacrifice.
Reynardo looked around the empty village and reflected. The Sky Ripper had turned out to be far too dangerous to be used. Time to turn to what he knew best.
What was behind that door? Reynardo's nose told him there was treasure there. They must have forgotten it in a hurry. Surely they wouldn't mind if he helped himself to it. After all, they wouldn't even know.
That could come in handy in a pinch.
Ravens were landing everywhere. The advance guard. He'd better get moving. If they got to Lupino first, they'd eat him for breakfast. Or a snack. Ravens weren't picky. If they got hungry, they sometimes forgot to interrogate their prisoners. Even top spies like Lupino. Where had the mad rabbit got to? Who made all these ore chests anyway? Well, you could have quite a business doing that. Reynardo felt a chill run down his back. Or possibly a flea. Or I could go that way, he thought.
Dirty and bloody, Renato finally reached Lapino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Renato recognized the cards. It was...
We capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows. And that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who happened to also be a deadly sorcerer, and... oh, his only daughter? That would be worth it. And it would be nice to see her. He always had a